Like we're on? There we go, live.
Great.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the InfoSec Unlocked event. We are talking about diversity in this panel session, and I introduce myself. I'm Lisa Weeks. I'm with InfoSec Unlocked, and for those of you who are new to what InfoSec Unlocked is, we are a nonprofit organization dedicated to helping diverse voices be heard at InfoSec conferences on all different levels. So we do a lecture series at DEF CON, which actually might become an entire video series over time, which is really cool. We do CFP reviews, which is a really cool process and really nifty feature that we offer. If you're interested in that, we do need 2 weeks lead time, and the paper should be like a first draft, kind of thing, like not super, super loose and all that, like kind of tied up as close as possible. And we do panels on various topics related to connecting people to diverse communities and helping people kind of find their tribes at InfoSec events. So that's a little bit about us. A little bit about me. I've been involved in the InfoSec community for probably about the past 5 years now, and I've been in marketing and tech for 20 plus years, and mostly on the video game side of things. So I'm kind of your friendly neighborhood token extrovert of the tech and InfoSec community. And that's why I'm moderating here today with all of these fantastic panelists. And I'll go ahead and let you give a little bit of background and history about what you do and what you've been doing and kind of what you're passionate about, which of course it's diversity, which brings you here today. So kind of a little bit about your different areas of expertise. And we can start with whoever wants to go first. Maybe David?
Okay. I was going to say ladies first, but okay. Okay. So my name is living in Austin, Texas, and I'm the, can you hear me? Can you hear me?
Uh-huh.
Okay, great. I'm the executive director, or the recently installed executive director for ICMCP. And ICMCP is an acronym that stands for the International Consortium of Minority Cybersecurity Professionals. We're a 2-year-old organization formed in July of 2014. Our mission and goal is focused around 2 major things. The first thing is that we're really interested in building a diverse pipeline of talented cybersecurity professionals from what's considered the non-traditional sector of the population. That would be women, that would be minorities, and that would be minorities of every stripe and kind that do not have access into this particular exploding field of endeavor or sector. We focus on representing the women and minorities in this field. Board is made up of some really established industry luminaries, our founders, and you know what? I'll leave that piece, the founders, for Kate, because Kate is my colleague here. But I'll leave that piece for Kate. I don't want to take all of it. As I said, I just recently got here, and I'm a volunteer on loan from Lynx Technology Partners, where I am the Chief Corporate Officer. So that's a little bit about me, and I'm passionate about diversity, and I'm also passionate about my sons.
Very cool. Thank you. Whoever wants to go next. Kate, if you want to go next.
Okay. I'm Kate Shackford. I actually come at this not through technology, but through 40 years in the nonprofit sector. So the president, Eric Perminer, asked me to come in and help get the structure of the organization going, and I've done a lot of program development, and so I'm helping to develop programs for the membership. I come out of a tech background, but I come out of a passion always for underserved communities, and was pretty shocked when I found out that over 90% of the people in cybersecurity are male and white. So I'm very excited to be with an organization that's working really hard to bring in other folks, and looking at not only people who are in it now, but helping them to increase their careers, and then to bring new people in, and working with college students, and then looking at what kind of curriculum we need in K-12.
That's fantastic. Awesome. Thank you.
Thanks.
And whoever wants to go next. Elena, perhaps?
Sure, I can go next. So my name is Elena Steinka, but I go by Elena. I'm on the board of directors. I'm a director with Women's Society for Cyber Jitsu, which is a 501c3 nonprofit. We're very passionate about helping empower women to succeed in cybersecurity field. We're a community of women. We basically support each other through every step of the career and the general journey. We also have a girls program, so we understand that getting interest of the ladies for this profession probably requires intervention at a younger age. So we run a girls academy. And that's what the nonprofit does. I joined them about 3 years ago, roughly. My background is in systems engineering and cybersecurity. It's been about 15 years. I started in this before security really became its own thing. So I've been in this for a while. What I'm really good at is anything that involves a destination. I have to have a target to meet. So designing and standing up systems to accomplish whatever, I gotta have a goal, particularly standing up programs and operations. And if there is no destination, that's not a problem. Then I'll get into strategic development and I will create a destination because I need to have a goal. So what can I say? I'm a woman on a mission. And that's, I guess, partially why they call me a strategic and tactical architect. If there is no goal, I will make one. I've designed and stood up numerous SOCs, NOCs, cloud computing environments, and pretty much anything within cybersecurity. There are only 3 things I do not do. I don't write code, I don't do databases, and I do not do Unix administration. Anything else, I'm good.
Very cool. Very cool. Thank you. Thank you.
You're welcome.
And we have Sarah.
Awesome. So, hi, I'm Sarah Clark, and I am on the board of directors of TiaraCon, which is an annual conference based in Las Vegas during the same week of Hacker Summer Camp, so Thursday and Friday, July 27th and 28th, dedicating to supporting women in security and supporting diversity and security, and dedicated to supporting supporters of diversity and security. So our organization is here to get women into security and also to change the overall dialogue so that we have workplaces that aren't 90% white guys. And so it's something we take really seriously. The event, we're going to be doing presentations as well as lots of job stuff, headshots, resume reviews. What usually happens is people end up doing a lot of informal mentoring. So it's kind of cool. You get them all together and they go off and they do things together. And so I see a lot of people make a lot of like long-term friends after coming to TiaraCon, and it's great for new people to DEF CON. If it's your first time, please do come visit us so you know a few people when you're walking around to say hi to. It helps a lot. When I'm not, working on that mission, I have been in security since I was 14 years old. I love it.
Nice.
It's my crack.
Cool.
Yeah. So Hacker Kid, DC 2600, Hope, DEF CON. Took a few years off to work for a nonprofit, actually, when I was growing up, that helped people with disabilities find supported employment and also community accessible living. This has always been something that I care about, is employment and getting people into jobs that make them happy and successful. And ARP supporting the 50 plus. I do data security and advising, and I run threat and vulnerability management and IR. So it's kind of cool to go from like that little hacker chick hanging out at 2600 meetings to the person running and making decisions for IR. So yeah, I think it's really amazing that we're doing this, and yay women and making a difference. Yay diversity and minorities and having everyone at the table, not just women.
Agreed. Hear, hear. I second that. And thank you again to everyone, to all of our panelists. That is a perfect introduction and a perfect segue into probably the first question that is an extension of your descriptions of the organizations that you're a part of, which is, what are the main ways in which your organization supports its user base? Who wants to go first? Sarah, do you want to go first?
I'll go first. The first thing that we do is, our programs, we exercise programs. And the first thing that we really do is we rest ourselves on 4 pillars. And those 4 pillars are focused around the things that we provide our users as resources. The first would be considered our, and Kate, don't let me just go through this myself and take all the glory from you, but the first, because Kate's responsible for the programs. But the first program that we are involved in is scholarships. And those scholarships are put together and formulated and developed and dispersed to what we consider to be students that have qualified and are worthy and have passed mustered at a certain level. However, this last particular part of their journey, there are some financial challenges that they're facing. And so what we're trying to do is to help them get through that process. In addition to that, some of these scholarships and certification vouchers go to individuals that are trying to reach a particular level of their proficiency in their practitioner craft, but needs financial support, and we do that for them. The second thing we do is that we match our members and all of our incoming members.
We might have lost David's audio for a second there. Give him a moment. Actually, you know what I might do that might help? I wonder if I can.
And so we provide them. I think I'm frozen. David?
I think you're back.
I'm back.
You're back.
Am I moving? Where did I leave you?
The mentorship program. Mentorship.
Yeah, mentorship program. And so in the mentorship program, we just match folks up together with people who have been in the industry for quite some time and who have the skill sets that they can impart. The third is our Center for Professional Development. And what that allows us to do is to develop the skill acumen of all of our members through engaging with our corporate partners, whether those corporate partners are ISACA, whether it's Semantic, or whether it's Cyber, whoever our partners are, we get our members together with them so that they can develop. And a lot of that development is not always around technical skills. Some of it is around soft skills, like being able to develop an appropriate conversation in a technical environment, being able to have conflict resolution, being able to understand how to field, answer, and understand questions about your particular role in a corporation, being able to be part of an organization, being able to meld yourself and integrate yourself into and assimilate yourself into an organization so that you can experience the best success that you can have. The last thing I'll note of our 4 pillars is that we're focused on ensuring that our members have access to jobs, which is part of our workforce environment. So jobs, that happens through 2 mechanisms. One is our talent portal, where we match where we specifically use an algorithm to match candidates with job opportunities from our industry partners. And we also get opportunities from our industry partners so they're able to see each other inside of that portal to some degree. And lastly, well, you know what, Kate, I'll save that for you, because that is the highlight of to me, that is the highlight of what we do. It is our Educational Security Operations Center. And Elena, you're probably going to like that more than anything else, because it is a security operations center that we've simulated for our students. So
love it.
So Kate, if you wouldn't mind, and sorry, Sarah, I'm not trying to hog it all.
So just the Educational Strategic Security Operations Centers are working with Capital Technology. University already has one up and running. We're working with HBCUs and with academic centers of excellence that are certified by the NSA to bring real life experience into the college curriculum so that we operationalize what they're learning in college so that they already have work experience by the time they go out into the job market. And so they're not just going to be entry level, but really entering at a higher level. And we're very excited about it. And it's a 3-way. We have the academic institution, we have ICMCP helping to set up the ESOCs and maintain them. And then we have an industry partners who will adopt the SOC. And because they're interested in getting the pipeline.
And they're interested in getting the visibility for being behind a organization that is on one, diversity, and two, focused on supporting the initiatives for cybersecurity and defense of not only the commercial enterprise, but also the nation as a whole. You know, and not to mention they get the 501c3 tax write-off, and you know, all of our branding and market awareness that we have generated. So I don't want to hog the time, but that's what Kate and I do.
Oh, that's really cool. That's an amazing support base for our community. That's awesome. Woo, cool.
Lots of women.
Yeah, that's wonderful. Lena or Sarah, whichever you would like to go. Duke it out.
Sarah, go ahead. I think you're talking, so go ahead.
Although we might not have your audio.
Sarah, you're on mute, Sarah, probably. You need to tell her.
We need to hear you. Oh, we still can't hear you.
Can't hear you, Sarah. You're muted now.
There you go.
Try settings at the top of the screen.
It says she's unmuted, like the little icon isn't there, but we still don't have your audio. Sorry.
Where'd you go? There you go.
Never a dull moment with technology, is there?
I swear, it's like, what is it?
Yeah. Why don't I let me know? Just feel free to cut in when you figure this out, Sarah. So we support our members, our organization. There are many ways we support the user base. So we have the women's program and we have the girls programs. So the women's program, we provide a lot of hands-on training of different types. We'll have workshops, one-day workshop. I think the first one I attended when I got involved with this organization, I think it was SNORT, IDS. So we'll be doing different introductions, wireless cracking or introduction to Python. So there are ongoing workshops available for the members. We also do a lot of group study for certification preps, be it Network Plus or whatever. We'll get as a group together and we'll have a study group. We have a lot of informal mentoring, and that kind of naturally tends to fall into place when you have somebody more senior next to somebody who is more junior. Partially, I get contacted, other members of the board or other members get contacted with questions. I know I have had my mentors as well, and I still need them. We have a lot of assistance with developing resumes, resume writing, or how to tackle certain things, moving towards a certain direction. Access to resources to enhance skills because we have sponsors and partnerships. And we have a lot of volunteer opportunities for women to volunteer and help the community pay it forward or just stay involved. And then we have the girls program where essentially we do a girls academy. We introduce them to the different topics within this field, which would be network forensics, mobile development. We would like them to fall in love with this field. We will even make jewelry out of binary code.
Yeah.
Very cool, very cool. That's a great way to put it. I love that. Sarah,
Where are you guys located, Elena?
We're located in Northern Virginia, but not necessarily. We have chapters everywhere, so we're actually nationwide. But majority of us board members, well, that's actually not true anymore because we have a few members that moved out west. So we're nationwide.
Very cool.
Right.
I'd say headquartered here.
Nice. Sarah, do we have you back? Oh,
Yay! So how TierraCon supports attendees is, first of all, to be an accessible conference to new people at DEF CON that's also way lower stress and impact. Because if you go to the big talks, there's hundreds of people, and you come to TRCon, it's much smaller, much chiller. Everyone is friendly. The vibe we create is just incredibly welcoming and chill. So if you don't know anyone, it's the place to be. And if you also want to be around, you know, a diverse group of people, it's also a great place to be. So we create that community. We create a lot of opportunities for informal mentoring. So by creating the opportunities for those relationships, people just naturally pair up, stay friends, and teach each other. So we focus a lot on creating opportunities for that, because I know that my informal mentors have changed my entire life, and have made so many things possible for me. So we encourage that, we create that. We also do some sponsorships, scholarships, something like that. Yes, that. So what we do is we'll do raising stuff before the con, and we also do a little bit of a silent auction. Anything we get from that goes into scholarships for conference attendees. So, you know, it's need-based. No one ever has to say why they need it. They just say, hey, I have need. That's it. That's all, you know. I don't want to know why. I just like, do you need it? Okay, cool. And then we go ahead and we try and match it out. Last year, I think we gave out 6 scholarships, and this year I'm, raising cash to go ahead and do it this year. I don't know what we're going to do exactly, but that's a big deal for us, is we want to bring people forward. So, resume reviews is huge, and everyone, everyone agrees with that one. Headshots this year. If you're going to DEF CON and you want a headshot, we have a professional photographer coming, and, bring your suit jacket. Yeah, exactly, right? It's going to be so awesome. So during the day, professional photographer headshots. At night, we're going to probably do a bit of hacker photo booth. So you'll have your professional headshot, and then you might have your personal one. We'll see. But it's going to be a lot of fun. Also, accessible to people who are new, and we try and build things to the point where they're really still interesting for people who aren't new. So for example, our badge is very much, we work with through-hole soldering LEDs, and I think one of our most popular events is people putting their badges together, which was super cool. We had people who had never soldered in their entire life in there with a soldering iron, and it was super exciting. So we make the projects, right? It's fun. So it's an accessible project because we're using really easy to assemble components, but we have a little bit of programming involved. You can have a programmed LED, not LED display, so you can have a name badge, right? So there's the ability to do a little bit to take it further, and we always focus on that. So you'll never look like, it's a great place when you don't know anything to be, and you don't have to be worried about anyone having an opinion about that or feel uncomfortable or nervous. And we really focus on giving people that environment and that support.
That's super cool. That's super cool. I was there last year, and I watched everybody doing the soldering. Yeah, it was great. It was really fun. Yeah, it was a very well done event.
When is the next conference?
July 27th, 28th, and we focus on production value. Oh, the other thing that's really important to know is you don't need a DEF CON badge to go to TRCon, and we provide food. Breakfast, lunch, and, party food, which is, essentially dinner. There's enough that if you want it to be dinner, it's there. So if you don't have money and you want to go to DEF CON and you're into inclusivity, show up. We will feed you and teach you.
And that's July 27th?
And 28th. We went from being Vegas? Vegas.
I'll be there. I'm scheduled to be there, so.
Well, cool. Then we will talk, because that'll be great. But yeah, our goal is to make it better for everyone, and especially new people. So
hey, Kate, awesome. Kate, Black Hat, July.
Yeah, we got 25 scholarships for Black Hat for our members, so we're going to have a whole group there, and we'll definitely tell them about TRCon.
Absolutely.
That's awesome. In fact, that means
Black Hat's in Las Vegas too. I'm sorry.
Yeah. No, it's
the same time. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. That's fantastic. And that also leads me to my next question on the list here and as Sarah talked about, that TRCon is kind of in conjunction with DEF CON, and are your other organizations in conjunction with other conferences? So you mentioned that you'll be at Black Hat, which is super cool. Are there others that you also have? You can kind of throw out like places that you support, or conferences that you organize a group of your people to be at to support your tribes.
Well, RSA is definitely a place where we have a lot of people, and we always hold some sort of a cocktail event there. And then we have our own national conference. We've had 2 so far, and that's a great place because people really cannot be the only face in the room, which is one of the reasons the organization was founded.
That's fantastic. Very cool.
We also have our own regional conferences that are supported by chapters. Like we had a conference last year down in Washington, D.C., which was attended by a couple of congressional members from the Black Congressional Caucus, because several of those members are key ranking members of subcommittees that are focused around diversity and cybersecurity. We also had a conference out at in Mountain Valley at the Semantic headquarters, because Semantic is one of our growing and developing partners that has focused on and really clued us into a lot of opportunities. We're probably going to be having our next conference in 2018 in Atlanta. We're starting to develop chapters around the country, so those chapters will also host their own conferences as well.
Awesome. And where can people find out more information or kind of stay up to speed on that? What's your Twitter handle, or where can they find out more about you?
Me personally, or no, we have a Twitter. It's at it's at icfcp.org is our Twitter handle. So
Perfect.
You can go there and find us.
Excellent. That's great. And Lena, go ahead.
We're along the same lines. We have B-sides across the country, Black Hat, DEF CON, various regional conferences, ISSA, SmoothCon, excuse my accent, I always have trouble pronouncing this one. I think generally speaking, if there is an interest of the members to go to a certain conference, we will help make it happen. So along the same lines, pretty much, RSA.
Cool. Yeah, that's fantastic. So we've kind of already answered a couple of the other questions here, as far as how does your organization support your user base when they attend a conference? And you had already given out a couple of really awesome ways that you do that through scholarships and providing food and all of these kinds of things. Is there anything else that we didn't hit on that particular topic of how you support your people when they're at these conferences? Or did we kind of cover that?
You know, in our particular case, they hold a couple of different forms of breakout sessions. I know the last conference they focused on women in cybersecurity. They focused on how to overcome particular objectives or objectivity in cybersecurity. We had a couple of guys, one from Palo Alto, one from HP, and a couple of other luminaries. And what also our co-founder is the CISO for the Federal Reserve. He was, he was at the conference, and they hosted a couple of breakout sessions that focus specifically on the challenges, the objectivity, and how to level the playing field as you go forward. You know, don't focus on the fact all the time that you're the only one in the room. Focus on the fact that you're the brightest one in the room, and then you'll be bringing more light to you. And you know, our objective is to really grow our numbers, promote the challenges that women and minorities face in this industry, and garner the support of like-minded corporations that are investing their money, making investments in diversity, but feel this is a real opportunity for them to increase their revenues by the creativity of women and minorities that come to the space. So it's, you know, there's been plenty of studies that have talked about the fact that organizations that are much more diverse have a larger and higher gross profit margin. And so it's no mystery that organizations that are more diverse are doing much better than organizations that are still stuck in legacy mode.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. That's great. That's really cool. And is part of the support that you do, if any of your members want to speak at an event, do you help them with kind of mentoring, creating the paper, creating the presentation and crafting and all of that? Do you have individual points on how you help out with that?
Yes, we have program materials for people who are going to be speaking, say, at a conference or at a career day. We had someone who spoke before, did congressional testimony, and that paper was sent around to the executive staff and comments were given. So anyone who wants to share their presentation is welcome to do that with our executive staff. And I say executive staff, everybody's a volunteer.
Right.
It's all volunteer run at this point.
Yeah.
So we get a lot of support in terms of when they're going to be speaking at conferences or just at different organizations.
Right.
That's fantastic. Very cool.
In our situation, it's similar as well. We also host networking events. Food will always bring people. Lunch or dinner during the conferences, LobbyCon. Sometimes we have a booth. We give things away, different material on organization. And the same thing essentially goes for the CFP. We have SMEs of all kinds. So we will help with that as well. We encourage the women to actually submit CFPs, and we can help with various topics, getting the documents submitted and prepped for when they are selected. We will help them put things together, even practice. So we essentially do the same thing.
That's wonderful. That's great. And how can people find you or follow along with what you're doing?
Oh, goodness, everywhere. First of all, on our website, Facebook, Twitter.
Great.
And whatever else is out there.
That's awesome. As a marketer, that you're speaking my language.
Or just talk to me. I don't think anybody ever talks to me without hearing about it, whether they want to or not. Great.
That's great. That's how we grow. That's how we become successful in our mission out there. Let's see. Moving on to things. When you're attending a conference or you're trying to decide which conferences to go to, are there specific things that you take a look at as far as codes of conduct with those conferences, the diversity events that they have, the number of people that you can reach, as far as like your, I suppose, like we just mentioned, kind of brand awareness situations? Are there any that really stand out to you as doing a really good job? Or are there some that you've looked at and said, oh, maybe they're not quite there yet, or maybe that's not quite, the direction we want to go? Are there any things in particular that kind of stand out as far as what you look for in participating in a conference?
So is this for David?
It's for anybody.
Go get him, Elena. Go get him, Sarah.
The question you asked is there anything that stands out? Well, yes, we stand out. So since a lot of places like this lack women, we will try and hit those because we need more women presence. We tend to like the technical type of events and conferences, so we try to focus on those, especially those where our members can actually play and get some good information, technical information, hands-on experience, something they can be learning from to take away for self-development. Those are our primary criterias, but it really, whatever the member base is interested in, to support them. Their success is our success.
Right.
That's a great answer. Yeah, perfect. And oh, go ahead, David.
No, please, Sarah, go.
We lost Sarah's audio again.
It sounded good. That just gotta hurt.
Maybe she's back.
Go ahead.
Okay.
So one of the things that I personally do is I find conferences where there are decision-making executives attending, And the reason I go to those is because I'm trying to make a connection with the organizations that are flush with revenue, so that I can create a public-private partnership between us and them, and pull ourselves into a scenario where they're utilizing our membership as part of their, part of an opportunity to staff their cybersecurity requirements. Use their organization, or work with their organization, or collaborate with their organization in a way to promote the idea of social and cyber equity. Utilize their resources to engage with their line staff, and getting them to see the value of a diverse candidate, and that there's no difference between a diverse candidate and them. And so a lot of these things, you can legislate, but until a person gets an opportunity to sort of be face to face with you and see that there's no difference between you and them, that's where the rubber hits the road. Today I was talking to a student from Chicago that moved to Austin, Texas, where I now live, to attend University of Texas in San Antonio, a cybersecurity degree. This guy has already presented. He's a young man, like 22 years old. He's already presented at several conferences because his cybersecurity acumen is so high. However, no one will hire him. It's disappointing.
Yeah.
So our mission is to ensure that there are no highly qualified individuals and Kate will tell you, in our organization, you can't be a slacker. As Black and brown people, we just don't get a second chance. So we're going to make it work the first time. We're going to make it work really well the first time. And we're going to take the cream of the crop. And if you don't match up, we'll go through the process of helping you match up. That's what we're here for. We're here to help bring you to that level where someone like an Elena or Sarah could say, I want you to work with us. And so that's what we're focused on.
Very cool. That's wonderful.
Yeah, it's one of the very discouraging things, that even though there's this dearth of qualified people to fill these positions, hundreds of thousands that are going unfilled, you still have hiring managers who only hire people who look like them.
Right.
So part of our job is to try to be in places where we can talk to them and see, help them see the error of their ways and their stereotypes. And certainly there are not enough women in the industry, but there also is. There's just, well, we might as well use the R word. There's just so much racism that it's a challenge, and so it's an opportunity whenever we can be in the room with large corporations and their hiring managers.
Right.
That's fantastic. That's wonderful. Very cool. Yay. And I suppose kind of along these lines as well, leading into the next question, what advice would you have for someone new to cybersecurity who might be intimidated by what they've heard about such things and about those challenges and all of that? What advice would you give as far as, oh, I've never been to DEF CON, I'm kind of intimidated, I've heard some things, or it's discouraging. What kind of inspiring things would you have to say to them?
Mm-hmm.
And maybe Sarah's back?
Well, it's interesting.
Oh, nope, she's not back.
One of the things we're doing with the Black Hat scholarships is we're holding out, well, we have people who are already going to go, but we're holding out 4 or 5 spaces for some of the executive staff to kind of shepherd people through, to talk about where they could, how do they navigate the conference. It's really important to have mentors in that situation.
How's that, Sarah?
Hopefully better. Can you hear me?
Yay!
Yay! Okay, cool.
Yay!
Yay.
Sarah's back.
Hurry up, Sarah. Go ahead.
Okay. Let's see. So in terms of, where were we? We were on
What advice?
would you have?
Yeah.
Okay, do it anyway. It doesn't matter if you're afraid of it. It pays better than you're going to make in a whole lot of other places. If you like six figures, that's your baby. Okay, money is good. Equality is great. Money is good. You know, stability is great. You're going to have a job for the rest of your career as long as you stay current. You're going to do cool stuff with cool people. You know, you're going to go places. I have been all over the U.S. doing all sorts of incident response stuff, and you know, you go everywhere. It is a job that will come with you. You can do from home. If you've got kids and you need a flexible schedule, no problem, because your job can go with you to wherever you need to be with your kids and while you're waiting to go pick them up. So it is a great job to be a mom. It is, you know, I have to say that it is very difficult in terms of, you know, it's totally worth it. The first 10 years of your career are going to be a grind. And it is going to be hard. You're going to be really upset. You're going to cry. You're going to go through depression and anxiety. Burnout is real. Burnout is a very real thing. But once you get to the point where you have a baseline level of skills, then you look at it and you go, wow, everything else is easy from here. So the ramp can be difficult, but if you surround yourself with good people, like folks you'll meet through these organizations, you're going to be successful. And that's the biggest force multiplier, is knowing people. Because if you can pick up Facebook and go, hey, I'm not quite sure how to make this work, and be like, oh yeah, you do this, or yeah, sure, I'll mail you the policy I have over here, you're way more effective. I get more done through my friends' networks than I do in a whole lot of other ways. So make a lot of friends, do it anyway, and be prepared to work harder than you ever have in your life.
Right.
That's cool.
Absolutely correct. So my advice would vary depending on who's asking it and what their motivating factor is, because everyone has different reasons for what motivates them. Generally speaking, I tend to live under the philosophy of no guts, no glory, and you have nothing to fear but fear itself. And I think it was Theodore Roosevelt that said that. I actually never touched a computer, and I couldn't stand computers, and I thought that that was the craziest stuff ever until I was maybe 28 years old. I was in a completely different line of work. I worked more in the international affairs linguistics arena, and it was kind of sequence of events and my marriage. My husband is a computer person. I developed interest, and I went to the computer like, oh, it does this. So I started from scratch at 28, just before I had my first child. And naturally, one has to have some interest, but you really are not going to know if you have interest until you try. It's a very wide field. To me, I always thought computers were programming. We all know that's not the case. It's intimidating. Everything is intimidating if you don't know anything about it. Degree of difficulty, what is the measurement indicator? Your knowledge base. It certainly is doable. It's a slow introduction. There is no reason to feel intimidated. Try different things, see what you like, see what you don't. Everything is possible. I did it. Like I said, I never touched a computer. And as far as someone new going to conferences, my goodness, no guts, no glory. What have you got to lose? A few $1,000s? Yeah, it's a significant chunk of money, but that's Mickey Mouse in comparison to your life and what you invest in yourself and potentially your career. Plus, there are venues to make that happen. That's my advice, essentially. So it would be case-by-case basis.
Very well said. Very well said. Anybody else?
Look, getting into cybersecurity is, to me, a matter of, it's really not really a matter of choice here. Firstly, in 2015, there was a statistic that was clearly mentioned that there are over 209,000 unfilled positions in cybersecurity, and that's slated to be somewhere in the neighborhood of 1.5 by 2020. So this is only going to increase and going to expand. Not to mention, going to the bathroom one day is going to probably take some measure of technology. So everything that we do is infiltrated and touched and managed in some way by some measure of technology. Your dishwasher, you know, your car, your garage opener, everything is. And so, you know, getting into technology and get into the security end of technology is a prerequisite and a requirement. Um, if you're, like Sarah said, if you're going to be current and find viable employment, this is the area to go. This is the direction. Kate and I were talking to a professor from Virginia, from Virginia, University of Virginia, somewhere out by you, Elena, and they have a community out there in West Virginia called Hamptonville or Hampton, Virginia, or something like that. Hamptonton, Virginia. Well, most of the residents there are immigrants, and a good portion of the immigrants, the good portion of them, are going through their K through 12 course study with amazing success, and going into STEM programs, and then going into cybersecurity. And not many of them have certificates like CNA, CSSP, CompTIA, but they're proficient. So this misnomer that you have to have every security under God's green earth in order to be a cybersecurity expert is not true. So don't be intimidated or dissuaded by all the things that you hear. You know, dig in and find your way in there, because it will be hard. But if you're energetic and passionate enough and have a high enough desire IQ, you'll make it through.
Also very well said. Thank you. That's great. Kind of along these same lines, we're going to get more specific here with DEF CON itself being such a large conference that it is now. It can be really overwhelming to especially certain personality types that aren't necessarily used to that number of people, and having to kind of find your way and network your way along. And sometimes if you're doing your research about DEF CON and you really want to go, you really want, you know, you're in that mindset of no guts, no glory, and I want to do this, but it's really intimidating, and I'm going to do some research. And then I read some things about, like, articles from last year about Hacker Jeopardy and some of the weird things that went on there, and you get a little bit kind of dissuaded, or just I don't know if intimidated is quite the right word, but, you know, maybe just like, I don't know if that conference is for me. What advice would you give for somebody who wants to go to DEF CON for the first time, but is having this kind of experience of, I'm not really sure if it's the one for me, or if I'm not really sure that I want to be part of something where a situation like Hacker Jeopardy happened last year? You know, would you tell them to try something smaller and like level up? Or what advice would you have in that regard?
So I think that unless you actually try something, you don't really know if you're going to like it or not. That's number one. I do triathlons, and there was one year I was racing in North Carolina, and they said that sharks were spotted. And I was thinking of backing away from the race, and I thought to myself, you know what, there's so many competitors. Why is this shark going to bite my behind as opposed to somebody else's? Chances are I'm safe. I would say scientific approach applies here as well. I mean, anything is possible. There are no guarantees in life, but you cannot surrender to these fears. But if you really feel that strongly about it, then I suppose you can start smaller. But essentially, it's the same analogy. Anything can happen. There are no guarantees, but statistically, the odds are for you, not against you.
Well said. Well said.
Good point.
Sarah, are you back?
Yes, and I'm totally glad to grab this one. So I went to DEF CON 9 and had a horrible time, enough that I didn't come back to DEF CON 19. So I know the culture, and I know what we used to be like, and I know what we're like now. And I can tell you it's a whole lot better. We have room to grow. You know, like I was talking to the Hacker Jeopardy folks, and I found out about that. And we have cultural stuff you're going to run into when you come to the event. Like, for example, Hacker Jeopardy has a whole long disclaimer of, we are going to offend you. We are going to do these things, you know, that are offensive. And so when people are offended, they're like, well, we had a disclaimer, guys. We spent like half an hour educating you that this was going to be an offensive show and we're in Las Vegas, right? So it's kind of like that's a cultural thing, right? So it's like you've got hacker culture and your culture may not match with that culture, right? You are absolutely going to run into things like people saying horrible sexist stuff in elevators. And I know this because my attendees went through that and I had to experience that. So you're going to have a little bit of a thick skin. And unfortunately, that sucks when you're new. It's hard to do that. But the opportunities you get from going to Vegas are huge, all right? The people I've met at DEF CON have helped enhance my career. They've also become lifelong friends. The best way to have a good time at DEF CON is to find a local meetup or organization that you can hang out with who also goes. Like 2600 meetings are kind of not as popular. Know the hackers, however, tons of them go if you're in Virginia or whatever your local thing is. And have a few friends to hang out with, and also find yourself some volunteer shifts. TiaraCon, by the way, has volunteer shifts. We do it intentionally to give people a way to feel involved. So find a volunteer shift, either B-Sides Las Vegas, which is great for volunteering. I've done that a bunch, us or wherever you decide to do it. And then you'll meet the people that'll make it a good time. If you go and you don't know anyone, you're probably not going to enjoy DEF CON.
Also very well said. Thank you. Thank you. Anybody else? And just as a little reminder, heads up, we're about 10 minutes left. So also, if anybody has anything they'd like to add, or if there is anything we didn't touch on that you'd like to chat about, by all means.
Look, we're an open. ICMCP is an open book. We crave membership. We crave collaborations. We crave partnerships. We crave volunteers. We know that volunteers is the lifeblood of our organization. So we crave to, and we crave like-minded folks that help us grow, and we help them grow, right? So it's not just a one-way street where we're just getting. We're also trying to ensure that we give and we give back and give back to our partners. So Sarah, Elena, you guys are welcome.
We will play.
Yes, come play, right? And take a look at our website, www.icmcp.org. We're getting ready to do Kate's getting ready to do a website refresh. She's tasked with it, and we'll make that thing look a little bit prettier. But we mean. Look, let me tell you this. As an aside, when the founders found themselves at RSA giving speeches and doing testimonials and what have you, they looked around the room and were very clear they were the only black people in the room. Clearly the only black people in the room. So they decided to do something about that. And they decided to do something about that. Little did they know that what they were trying to accomplish by just accommodating a couple of people, it was as real as it can be, because before they knew it, the membership had started growing by leaps and bounds, 5 people a day, before we got to the point where we are today, right? 2 years in. So this is a real scenario. This is a real, you could almost call it a crisis, because before you know it, our shores, our country will be hacked to death because we don't have enough folks to support defending the threat environment. Come on, come play, and we'll come play with you.
That's awesome.
Hi, Anthelon.
Very cool. Very cool. Anybody else have any parting thoughts, parting words of wisdom to?
I think if somebody has any remote interest to at least explore or has an open mind, we're out there. There are lots of other resources out there. There's something for everyone. All you need to do is reach out, at least with us, just reach out and we will do what we can for the introduction and to help. We need a little bit of interest, to see a little bit of interest, and we will give 10 times back. And I think that's applicable to most organizations. Most of us have full-time jobs and lives. We obviously do this for the passion. of what we want to bring to the community. So please reach out to us or any other organization that strikes.
Fantastic. Thank you.
And just another ad, I actually did some of my studying for my CISB with the Women of Cyber Jitsu. So, they're great. So if you, want to go play with them, I can assure you I've just had amazing experiences with them, and it's a great idea, 100% great idea. The people are great. Yay! And if you want to find out more about TiaraCon, I don't think I mentioned the URL. We're at www.tiaracon.org. And if you're coming to Vegas, you don't need to stay the entire time. We're a drift in, drift out for a lot of folks, but register, because otherwise you won't get a badge. And we're doing, because it's like, we're spending $3,000 and buying badges and components. And last year we ran out of our badges. Then we ran out of the backup badges Skydog printed for us. And then we ended up doing wristbands. Okay, so if you want a badge, please register so we can make sure you get one.
Great.
Good advice. Pro tip.
Yay.
That's awesome. Kate, did you have anything?
As we've been talking, I've been thinking about Randall Plunkett, who was a keynote at our last conference, who wrote Black Faces in White Places. And he talked about, you don't just have to know the rules of the game, you have to change them. And I think that's really important for women and minorities. That if you're in an environment where they don't get what they need to do, then we need to show them what they need to do.
There are some rules
And
I don't
obviously,
play by. I march to my own tune, and they will accept my rules.
Right. And we have to teach those coming up that that's possible.
Exactly. I champion that wholeheartedly. That's fantastic. Well, I guess we're kind of wrapping up. And again, thank you everybody for tuning in. And thank you to our panelists for your time. Really, really appreciate it.
Thank you.
Again, we are InfoSec Unlocked, and you can find us on the internets. We are definitely out there in the tubes. So you can find us, and you can find us at DEF CON. We have a strong Twitter presence. And you can find out kind of where we are within the convention, if we're just all of a sudden randomly meeting up in the lobby bar for a couple hours or something like that. So it's very much committed to inclusive, and especially people's maybe first or second time at the convention, to help them enjoy the experience and kind of guide them along certain ways, and again, kind of help them find their tribes and help them find people and maybe mentors that will help them out. So InfoSec Unlocked. Thank you. Thanks to everybody. And
thank you.
wraps us up.
Bye.